Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is May the 18th, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Monday, happy Garfield Day to ya. Hopefully you got that lasagna, a little wine, a little garlic bread on the side. Hell, hopefully you got some seconds, and maybe, if you're lucky, if you're hungry, maybe a little tiramisu to finish it all off. As for me, as for mine, it was a good day. It was a solid day, especially for a Monday. We got up, we got ourselves together, we got to work. I stayed at the crusher till second shift came in. I made do upstairs. I'm just trying to adapt. It feels like every day in some way, shape, or form to kind of make the time go. But overall, it was a good day. Post work, we got to the gym. Gym was busy as it is on a Monday, but I was able to get a free bench for myself, which I loved. And overall, the workout was good. Gotten some cardio to boot, gotten some core work to boot. So yeah, it was a good day, good gym session. We love it. W. Came home. I had a snack. I skipped my stretch. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it today. I was like, nah, no thanks. But we did have our snack. We did some research, and now we're ready to get into some news. We actually have a good amount to get into. So, no more dilly-dally, no more shilly-shally. Let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into it. Also, you may be hearing some rain throughout this episode. So hopefully you enjoy that little ASMR if it's picking up. I will say, knock on wood, it does seem like the weather is finally picking up in terms of temperature. I know yesterday, finally got to take the hoodie off, which was nice. Today, much of the same. I didn't even bring the hoodie out, so I was like, okay, I can work with 80. If we're chilling in like the high 60s to the 80s, that's the kind of spring I'm looking for. Okay, I would order that every year, but so it goes. Sometimes a little nippier. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. From Yahoo News. San Diego mosque shooting. 5 dead, including 2 suspects, police say. 3 victims were killed in a shooting at a San Diego mosque on Monday, and 2 suspects behind the attack were also killed, authorities said. Police responded to a report of an active shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego shortly before noon local time and found 3 deceased victims three deceased victims outside. San Diego Police Chief Scott Wall said during a news conference. At around the same time, there are reports of more gunfire a few blocks away, where it's believed the suspects fired shots at a landscaper. Officers were then called to a nearby location where a vehicle was found in the middle of the street. The suspects, 2 male teenagers, were found inside the car, dead from apparent self-inflicted gunshot wounds, Wall said. The identities of the victims and the suspects have not been made public. The attack is being investigated as a hate crime for now, Wall said. The Islamic Center is the largest mosque in San Diego County. According to its website, its mission is to serve the religious needs of the San Diego Muslim population and to work with the larger community to serve the less fortunate, to educate and better our nation. It is also the site of a school for children from pre-K to 3rd grade. No children were harmed in the incident, police say. So that's at least, I guess you could say, a silver lining in this grim tragedy. Obviously, it's very unfortunate whenever we cover a shooting. I know they're very prolific in America. I think it does take on another tenor when we are talking about a hate crime. At least, that is what it's, suspected, alleged to be as of right now. So, yeah, I will definitely come back to the story if we want to get some more information. we can kind of digest it a little bit more fully. But I wanted to start off with that. Let's move on though to another actually sad situation, a loss of life. From CBS News, drivers find bodies of 4 Italians in Maldives sea cave. Italy's foreign ministry said Monday that rescuers have located the bodies of 4 Italian divers deep inside an underwater cave in an atoll. An atoll? Is it an atoll or atoll? I don't know. In the Maldives, 4 days after they were reported missing. Searches had resumed on Monday after being suspended following the death of a local military diver during a perilous mission to try to reach them. The government of the Indian Ocean nation confirmed the bodies were spotted in the innermost part of the cave by 3 Finnish diving experts, supported by the Maldives police and the military. As was previously thought, the 4 bodies were found inside the cave, not only inside the cave, but well inside the cave, into the 3rd segment of the cave, which is the largest part, said Ahmed Sham, a Maldives government spokesperson. He said the 4 were found pretty much together, which I just can't imagine your last moments being trapped underwater. I imagine you've probably made some amount of attempts to get out, to safety, get to, open air, and you can't. And, it's not just you in this situation. It's also the compatriots you came in with, and that's it. You're just dying underwater like that. That's definitely one of the ways where not by fire, not by water. That's for sure. Those are 2 big ones for me. And you'll also know no helicopters for your boy, but that's a whole other issue. Let's see. The plan is they will try to recover 2 bodies tomorrow and possibly the other 2 the following day, Sham said in a voice clip sent to the media. The body of the 5th Italian, a diving instructor, was found earlier outside the cave. The 5 were exploring a cave at a depth of about 160 feet in Vavu Atoll on Thursday, according to Italy's foreign ministry. The recreational diving limit in the Maldives is 30 meters or 98 feet. So they were running down deep. Let's see. The 3 Finnish divers, experts in deep and cave diving, arrived in the Maldives on Sunday. Maldives presidential spokesperson Mohammed Hussein Sharif said earlier that the search was suspended after Mohammed Mahoudi, a member of the Maldivian National Defense Force, died of underwater decompression sickness after being transferred to a hospital in the capital on Sunday. The victims have been identified as Monica Montefalcone, an associate professor of ecology at the University of Genoa, her daughter, Georgia Somakal, marine biologist Federico Gualtieri, researcher Muriel Audino, and diving instructor Gianluca Benedetti, according to the Maldivian government. Benedetti's body was the one recovered on Thursday from near the mouth of the cave. Now let's see here. They have more details in terms of what went down, but for the sake of time, we are going to be segueing into the next story. But yeah, I when I heard this story, I was like, damn, that's very perilous. That's very, sad. I know that they were just kind of, I think this was like supposed to be a recreational thing. So I think that that's definitely, maybe a sadder part of it too, is like, hey, it's supposed to be a thing for fun, doing your own exploration thing, we're doing some stuff like on top of the work, and, to lose your life in that kind of way is very sad, it's very upsetting. But I think period, whether it would be for work, for pleasure, whatever, I don't think that it's ever going to feel good to have to go through that, and the families have to, endure that, experience that, obviously. But I guess there's something in the sense of, dying doing what you love in that regard. I know that, that's something that people do mention and talk about. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where I think about it. I've tried to put myself in that situation. I just cannot think of being like, yeah, let's put on this fucking scuba gear and let's go into these, underwater caves and see what we can find and see what's up. Especially, too, because if there's any kind of weather, it makes it even harder to navigate the situations, as I've kind of learned from this article listening to like the BBC, like it can be so hard and disorienting to try to swim back up when you can't tell you're right from, from your left, you're up from your down, everything's rolling around, moving around, stirring and shit. So I just can't imagine trying to make heads or tails in those kind of situations. And it's for your life on top of it. So yeah. We can move on though to our, I guess you could say less intense, but the stakes are pretty high situation. I've been kind of waiting to cover this because I wanted to wait for the trial to resolve to get a verdict, as opposed to like covering the blow for blow. I know some podcasts, I know some, outlets did that, and obviously it makes sense. They got the time, they got the budget. I don't. Anyway, from the BBC. Musk loses OpenAI court battle after jury finds he waited too long to sue. A California jury has tossed out Elon Musk's high-profile lawsuit against OpenAI and its boss, Sam Altman. In a unanimous verdict, the jury agreed that Musk had waited too long to file his lawsuit, leaving all his claims essentially expired. Musk had accused Altman of breaching a non-profit contract by shifting the ChatGPT maker to a for-profit company after Musk donated $38 million early in OpenAI's history. Apparently, I was listening to this on the daily, but I have heard stories about the birthing of OpenAI, so to speak, ChatGPT, all that bullshit. But essentially, Elon Musk is like hanging out with the owner of Google or some shit, and I think it's Larry something, and I know I should know the name, but I fucking don't. But essentially, they were like getting on the conversation of AI, and like I guess Elon Musk didn't like the owner of Google's answers, like saying like, hey, why are you being a speciesist? Why are you like being so anti-AI, da-da-da? And Elon Musk's solution to this whole dilemma that he had with this discourse with this other, rich fucker was like, we need to actually be the ones to have our hand on the pulse of AI. We need to get on this. And this is like way back. It was before, this shit had all been, jumping. So he had sat down with Altman, I think another guy by the name of Brockman or something like that. I'm just kind of vaguely pulling these names from other shit. But essentially he was like, okay, I'm going to fund your guys' project because I want to see AI become a thing. And they're like, oh, okay, sweet. And then you see, though, that Elon Musk is like, hey, I want to be involved. Not only do I want to be involved, I want to run this shit. I'm putting all this money. So, yeah, I want to run this fucking shit. And, like, as it got to that point and beyond, Altman and, the person he's building the shit with is like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Like, we can't have it. You can't have it go down like this. Like, so it's like, yeah, we want to keep it, not, for profit. But then now, fast forward to where we are, it's like, well, they are for profit. So it's like somewhere along the lines, things have changed, right? And they're like, yeah, that was part of the reason why we had to like lose Elon Musk. But let the rest of this article tell it a lot better than I could. I'm kind of just hopping and skipping around here. Let's see. Musk had accused Altman of breaching a non-profit. I already read the part. Musk claimed Altman had deceived him by accepting his money and then reneging on OpenAI's original non-profit mission to develop artificial intelligence or AI technology for the benefit of humanity. Even though that's kind of funny that he's besmirching that shit because he has made an AI company. He has made, Grok AI or whatever the fuck, like for profit. So this is something that he has wanted all along too. It's just that he doesn't like that his former company that he, helped kickstart essentially, is doing the shit without him. And not to mention probably doing it better. And this is in no way me being a fucking OpenAI Sam Altman glazer. I'm sure I'll get to my 2 cents on that as we get there, as we end it at some point. Anyway, Musk claimed Altman had deceived him by accepting his money. I already read that again, my bad. Jurors spent just about 2 hours on Monday deliberating on the case, but they had spent 3 weeks viewing internal correspondence and hearing testimony from Musk, Altman, and other tech industry executives, such as Microsoft's chief executive Satya Nadella. Musk had accused Microsoft of aiding and abetting OpenAI and its allegedly improper transition to a more for-profit company. And Microsoft was the one that kind of came in to say, okay, well, you need money. You need real money. Like, obviously, Elon Musk has like given millions of dollars, but what you guys are clearly looking for is like something with a B on it, something more, you need more money. And we're Microsoft, and we want that kind of technology because we are competing with the Googles of the fucking world. And at this point, this is, around the nascency of, OpenAI, Google had a lot of the technology down. They were like, they had the capacity to do this, but they were all thinking to themselves, this is a potential like kind of quote unquote risk, and also a risk in the sense of it's not going to make us any fucking money. Like the models that we're using are working fine. They make Google more efficient. We like that. We're going to keep this shit in pocket, but we're not necessarily trying to use it because it's not something that we think we can actually sell in a commercial sense, because up until that point, we really were being like, well, yeah, we want to get the like fucking AI shit, like, Cortana fucking Halo shit, you know what I mean? And if it's not that, no one really wants it. But OpenAI said, well, what if we could just show you what we got here? And you could just talk to this little thing, and so it was fucking born. And then Google's like, oh shit, let's actually fucking, unleash the beast. And now we have Gemini and all this shit. Not to mention, it's like, hey, it's trying to feed you glue. But that's a whole other fucking issue, right? Hallucination is a hallucination. Musk's other claims against Microsoft were dismissed as a matter of law, given the jury's findings on the 2 claims against OpenAI. I do kind of hate that this is over like a technicality. Like, oh, you filed it too late. I wish that they had just said, like, no, Elon, you're wrong. But I mean, hey, neither here nor there. A win's a win. I like to see it. A spokesperson for Microsoft said of the verdict, the facts and the timeline in this case have long been clear. The company added that it remained committed to its work with OpenAI. The jury's decision adds to a string of recent losses and settlements for Musk in court. Oh, also, it was worth noting, too, that Elon Musk wanted, like, a slew of things. Like, he wanted, if he won, he wanted Sam Altman to step down, be fired, whatever. He wanted, I think it was, like, over $103 billion, which, once again, I told you he put in millions in this company. But he was like, well, because I've been so cheated, I deserve some fucking compensation. But, oh, no, I'm not going to be greedy about this. Because this is always supposed to be about charity. It's supposed to be about being charitable in the spirit of all that. I'm going to donate this, I think he said, to, like, I don't know, some kind of fucking AI project or some shit. So essentially, he was just saying, oh, I'm not going to actually pocket the money from me. I'm not going to be a greedy billionaire. But it's like, oh, okay, buddy. All right. Sure, fucking sure. Let's see. Let's see. Musk accused the judge overseeing the case of being a terrible activist who used the jury as a fig leaf. AKA, he didn't like the verdict, so he's crying like a fucking baby on X, the everything app. In another post to X, Musk vowed to file an appeal, claiming that the jury did not decide on the merits of the case and that the decision was based on a calendar technicality. It's like, dude, but that's why I wanted them to say no. The case, like Elon Musk is just fucking wrong. But so it goes. That's not what happened. I will say, for better or worse, it was interesting to like hear kind of clips of Musk's and Altman's testimony, or not clips, but like, playback from people who were in the room. I guess I'll say it that way. That was interesting, but not that interesting. Like I said, I didn't feel like this was the kind of story that I wanted to like, or the trial that I wanted to like do like updates, blah, 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 like week to week. I just was like, let's just hear what the verdict is. And if it is a big blowout and like Sam Altman's going to have to step down, well then, okay, we'll talk about that when it comes. But I kind of did have a feeling that Elon Musk was going to lose because, I mean, there's just so much actual evidence. Like you have the conversations. Like I also think at one point too, there was, I can just actually read it. I found it. Altman told the jury during his own testimony that Musk not only backed the idea of OpenAI becoming a for-profit business, he had vied for control of it for the long run. A particularly hair-raising moment was when my co-founders asked, if you have control, what happens when you die? Altman recalled in court. He said something like, maybe it should pass to my children. Like, what? No, dude. And like, there's also some last-ditch efforts. Like, once again, they're looking for funding. They need help. He's like, hey, I know you guys are on hard times. Maybe instead of giving you so much money or something like that, you can come and actually nest, be in a Tesla or something. Like, we'll put you in Tesla HQ. And I think that was one of the red flags where they're like, yeah, we can't work with him like this. Like, it just isn't going to work. But like, that being said, I guess we can kind of get to my 2 cents on the end of the matter. As much as I'm happy that Elon Musk lost something, I love seeing this man talk or take an L. Boo. Yes, boo that man. I'm not rooting for Sam Altman. I'm not rooting for OpenAI. I do think there is something a bit off about the idea of saying like, hey, this like project that's supposed to be so altruistic, it's supposed to be AI for good. Like, if we can't actually like make a fucking profit, then we can't do the good that we're trying to do. It goes back to this whole effective altruism bullshit that you just hear these billionaire fuckers say. And there is something that I kind of pulled from some of the like the testimony stuff of like, apparently a lot of people in the industry kind of mark Altman as a duplicitous character. Some might say, how do you say, two-faced, a big fat fucking phony, a liar, if you will. And I could see that. I could believe it, because he's the kind of guy who'll tell you, like, yeah, I know, this AI stuff's crazy. Like, yeah, it could take over the world, maybe. I don't know. It's like, brother, you know exactly what the fuck you're making. You are not making this shit for the good of the fucking people. That is not what you're here for. You are here to line your pockets with fucking money. And you don't care if you milk the whole goddamn planet to do it. There's no difference in my mind from a Sam Altman to an Elon Musk. I gotta make that shit clear. I just think Elon Musk is more annoying as an individual. As a human being, he's a guy I would rather throw a tomato at. In terms of like, I only have one tomato. I only have one rotten tomato to throw. I'm chucking it at him first. Sam Altman, I'm also yelling at him, but like, you know what I'm saying. That there's a priority list here, okay? There's a queue, okay? And I'm getting the guy who hit the flamethrower. But yeah, you know, so it is what it is. I mean, I guess for OpenAI, it's just business as usual, you know, they dodge this, but I mean, you know, OpenAI is in courts for one thing or a fucking other, you know, I'm sure they got a fucking data center to build or some fucking bullshit. But anyway, we'll leave the story there for now. But, speaking of, you know, looting for money, getting away with things, CNN, Trump administration creates, I hate this, $1.776 billion fund for allies of the president after he drops lawsuit against IRS. Teflon Donnie. Anyway, the Justice Department on Monday announced the creation of a $1.776 billion fund to compensate President Donald Trump's allies who claim they were unfairly targeted by the previous administration. It was a witch hunt. It's an unprecedented move that would allow the president's administration to pay his supporters from a government agency he controls with taxpayer money. There appears to be a few constraints on who can submit a claim to the fund. The president has broadly stated that his allies were politically targeted by the justice system, from the years-old Russian collusion investigation to the nearly 1,600 people charged in connection to the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. Its creation comes as Trump dropped his $10 billion lawsuit alleging that the IRS, or the Internal Revenue Service, failed to protect Trump and the Trump Organization from an unauthorized leak of their tax returns. Now, Trump himself will not receive any payments, but will receive a formal apology. This is so weird. It is just saying, like, you get to, and I'm going to be crass here, it's like you're jerking yourself off with the other hand. Like, okay, dude, yeah, you just get to take some money out and then put it in this slush fund. Oh, but not for you, but for all your good-ass fucking friends. And honestly, I would almost be shocked if some low-level January 6er who came to, like, put his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk and try to sniff her shoes, if they even see some kind of money, some kind of compensation, or if it's just one of his higher-up Goombas who did some kind of legal work and needs to get paid or wants to get an extra little bonus out of it, maybe they get a cut. Maybe they get a piece of the fucking action. Like, all in the merit of protecting a man who definitely tried to fucking overthrow the fucking government because he didn't believe in democracy that day. He didn't like the fact that he took an L. He refused to accept it. And because of that, he's going to get a fucking payout for it. Oh, man. It is frustrating to me. It's frustrating as fuck to cover me because it's like, it's one thing to beat the fucking case. It's another thing to fucking free all these fucking Goombas. It's a whole other thing on top of it to say that they get fucking taxpayer money that I have generated. Make it make fucking sense, dude. So it's kind of a fucking yank. Let me take a little water break. I'm getting a little spirited. The so-called anti-weaponization fund, with its symbolic 1776 figure, is likely to face immediate challenges in court from Democrats and watchdog organizations who say the effort amounts to corruption by allowing the president to enrich allies over what critics they say are unfounded claims of political persecution by the Biden administration. Trump on Monday said that those poised to benefit from the fund were treated brutally. This is reimbursing people who are horribly treated, Trump told reporters at the White House. They're getting reimbursed for their legal fees and the other things they had to suffer. So many atrocities by the Biden fucking crime family. There's some yada, yada, yada here, blah, blah, blah here. I guess, want to read this part. Trump's lawsuit alleges that the IRS failed to protect confidential tax information and the tax information from of the Trump organization. Charles Littlejohn, a former IRS contractor, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for leaking Trump's tax records, along with the records of thousands of others. And in my mind, that's the person that the Trump administration should be going after, should be trying to fucking tar and fucking feather, okay? It's like, this is the person who did the breach, who stood to make anything out of it. Why are the taxpayers being punished for this guy's fucking decision? Because we got to see it? Like, no, man, there's just nothing about this that really makes sense to me, personally. I boo it. I don't like it. But so it goes. It's not the first time that we've seen Donald Trump make money off of our backs off of our hard work. And I'm sure it won't be the fucking last, We are not even fucking halfway through this shit with this fucking term. I know it feels like fucking forever, but so I'm sure there's more schemes to be hatched and had. But yeah, like I said, the rich keep getting richer, bad guys keep winning. Though in this situation, I'm not exactly rooting for any party in this coming story, but from the Hill. Cassidy loses Louisiana Senate GOP primary as Trump-backed challenger advances to runoff. Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican from Louisiana, was projected to fail to advance to the runoff in Louisiana's GOP Senate primary Saturday, according to Decision Desk HQ, ending the incumbent senator's re-election bid after years of political fallout from his vote to convict President Trump following the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Trump endorsed Representative Julia Letlow, also a Republican from Louisiana, and Louisiana Treasurer John Fleming advanced instead, a major victory for Trump as the president worked to oust one of the few remaining senators who broke with him after the Capitol attack. No candidate secured at least half of the vote to avoid a June 27th runoff. Cassidy said he called Letlow and Fleming to congratulate them on the victories. He spoke to the supporters late Saturday, telling them he felt great as he stood next to his wife, despite not getting the outcome he had hoped. When you participate in democracy, sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. But you don't pout, you don't whine, you don't claim the election was stolen, you don't find a reason why you lost, Cassidy said, a likely reference to Trump and the 2020 election. You don't manufacture some excuse. You thank the voters for the privilege of representing the state or the country for as long as you've had the privilege, and that's what I'm doing right now. See, you almost want to say this shit's refreshing to have a politician just talk like a fucking normal politician, or at least like what we've been used to for so many years. But, motherfucker wasn't MAGA, and so he had to fucking go. And I do think that that's something that has, I think, been the most unsettling thing from the run up to midterms, is that everyone is kind of seeing shit's bad. Donald Trump's fucking this shit up. He is not for you. Everyone kind of knows. But at the end of the day, conservatives are still fine to play to what Trump wants, to whatever his whim is. They are still that MAGA coded for it. And that, I don't want to say, it makes me sad, but it makes me not even worried. I don't know what the words I'm looking for here. They escape me right now. But concerned, if you will, because it means then it's so then what? Are we just going to look for, a JD Vance type guy, or whoever's going to LARP the most like Donald Trump is going to get your vote? Like, is it going to be another celebrity that does that? Like, I don't know. That these are obviously questions I have for the future, but to see that the voting base, like the Republican voting base in general, is like, if Donald Trump tells me to do it, if I see that in a campaign ad, I'm gonna go that way. And I will say this now: if Cassidy took the fucking axe, I don't think things look good for Thomas Massie tomorrow in Kentucky. Not that, I mean, I don't think any of my listeners are Thomas Massie fans. I know me, myself, I'm not. But once again, you just see that if you say no to this man, even one fucking time, you're cooked, dude. You're fucking done. GG's. It doesn't matter if what you're saying is logical. Like, for Cassidy, he's essentially saying, like, yeah, man, you lost the vote and you tried to overthrow the fucking government. So, like, that was fucked up. And I just called, I called a ball, and a strike there. And he said, you've got to go. I want your head on a fucking platter. And then for Massie, he's doing shit like, yeah, man, like, people want to see this Epstein file shit. Just release the shit. And, like, there's a fucking price on his head for it. Like I said, not a day has gone by where I haven't been in the break room and seen an attack ad on Thomas Massie by some old folky guy named, Ed Gallerin or whatever the fuck, who also seems like a fucking political fucking loser. But once again, that's the guy that Trump wants because he doesn't like Massie. It's just that fucking simple, and nothing else fucking matters. They're willing to waste so much fucking money and time, effort to just square these circles for old daddy Emperor Trump. And once again, everybody knows that he's bad stock. Everybody knows that his approval rating, it's all fucking bad. Usually you're allowed some kind of wiggle room. Usually you're allowed to be at least that moderate, not any fucking more. So once again, in that regard, I do find it concerning. I do find it troubling, because it means, like, once again, I think that when Trump lost in, whatever it was, the dates and times are escaping me right now. When Trump lost, I knew that there were some people like, okay, well, this shit's over. We can finally go back to, like, logic and reason. We're gonna walk back from the ledge, not walk off it. No, that's not what happened. Everyone was like, no, let's crank this motherfucker up. Let's go harder. Let's get more conspiratorial. Let's go crazy until we get this guy back in, and then we'll let him do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, that is what happened. That is the reality. So then what happens post this guy? I mean, I've made the joke or the reference or the worry of, like, what if he really does decide to say, fuck the rules, I'm just going to stay here forever. I guess that's still a concern. He's made that joke, and, Lord knows, you never know if he's joking. But regardless, even if we play by the fucking book, even if Trump says, you know what, yeah, I'm cool, I'm good to go now, I'm back to Mar-a-Lago, or I'm going to run the Board of Peace, I'm going to be king of the world, whatever, America is still, I think, going to be on this bullshit. We're still going to have this bent. And I find that to be so scary. I find that to be so bleh and worrisome. Yeah, I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. So, poor old Cassidy, whatever. Like I said, sucks to suck. I really am not rooting for any of the people I'm talking about here. Obviously, Massie included. So, anyway, let's talk about a motherfucker that I probably would root for. I root for Shakira. Shakira. We're going to close out on Shakira and some tax fraud. A bit of an update on that. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take our last break and we'll close it out. Ugh. All right, from Reuters. Shakira acquitted of tax fraud. Court orders Spain to hand back $70 million. Spain's High Court has acquitted Colombian pop star Shakira of tax fraud and overturned the 55 million euro or $64 million fine imposed in 2021 by the Spanish tax agency, according to a court document seen by Reuters on Monday. Acting on an appeal by the Hips Don't Lie singer, the court ordered the Treasury to reimburse her with over 60 million euros, or $70 million, including interest, Shakira's defense said. Dude, I do kind of like whenever you're in a situation where and you're an individual who's getting back interest. I feel like there's just so many situations in life where you have to pay interest. You're plagued by it. Nice to see the situation almost work in your favor. The judge ruled that authorities had failed to prove that Shakira spent more than 183 days in Spain in 2011, as required by Spanish law to be considered a tax resident in the country. It does not affect tax years after 2011. At the time, the tax agency had argued that Shakira was linked to Spain through a relationship with former FC Barcelona footballer Gerard, I think it's Gerard Peak. Yeah, I'm not with the football. What can I say? And had her center of activities in the Mediterranean country. But the High Court ruled that the fines were unlawful as they were, based on the assumption that the appellant's tax residence was in Spain for the 2011 fiscal year, a fact that has not been proven. The tax agency said it would appeal with the Supreme Court and no payment will be made until the final ruling. Shakira's lawyer, Jose Luis Prada, good name, welcomed the court's decision in a statement saying that it comes after an 8-year ordeal that has taken an unacceptable toll, reflecting a lack of rigor in the administrative practice. The same statement quoted Shakira as saying she hoped the ruling would set a precedent for thousands of ordinary citizens who are abused and crushed every day by a system that presumes them guilty and forces them to prove their innocence while facing financial and emotional ruin. Now, this is where the only time I wanted to kind of hold the record, because it's like, look, Shakira, I'm rooting for you. I want you to get your bag back in that situation. It's crazy they're coming for you. You're a queen. We stand, whatever. But can we stop that, though? Like Shakira's a man of the people. She's doing it for us. She's doing it for the people of Spain. She's doing it for the world. Like, the hips are kind of lying here. Come on, man. You want to make sure that you're getting your bag back. And it's kind of not ironic, whatever, once again, words are escaping me, but it's like, you have the means to fight this kind of shit. You can form a legal team to combat this kind of shit. You know what I mean? And you can say, hey, I can prove to you that I wasn't in Spain for this amount of time. I can go through this whole thing and I can fight this fucking case for as long as I need to. The average bear can't do that. So you have to just kind of fucking bend over and take it. That's the part that fucking sucks about this shit. It's not that I'm fucking rooting for the nation state here. Like, yeah, take more money from us. No, fuck that shit. But, you're in a rare case, Shakira. You can fight that shit. You can talk that good shit. And I'm happy for you. And hopefully this does somehow positively affect people in a way, outside of you maybe making some more albums or whatever. But, needless to say, I'm glad to see that she got her bag back. Granted, we'll see what an appeal looks like. But yeah, that's it. That's all I really have for today. That's going to be the episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is always caring. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts are always appreciated. But if you don't do any of that, that's A-okay. Thank you for just hanging out with me, letting me yap at you about my life, about some news. It's always a pleasure. It's always a treat. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.